What's up, everyone? Today is a beautiful day. Sunny, 70, somewhere in the world, probably in California, but not here in New York. As you can see, we have that stuff that comes out of the sky and it's covering everything. But we have to go and pick up a trailer because Randy at Auto Auction Rebuilds just picked up an absolutely epic 1973 Buick Regal. And you guys know how much I love Buicks. And you guys know we're going to be picking up another Buick at the end of next month. So, what are we doing? We're going to pick it up, bring it back here, and we're going to make sure that, because it's quite a distance from here to there, that it's ready to rock and roll. And of course, I want to make sure that 2-barrel goes away and he gets a 4-barrel, because, well, let's face it, 2 barrels is just too little. And yeah, we'll check the brakes, you know, that type of stuff. And man, I'm looking forward to seeing him and watching him head home with this awesome car. And road trips are just such an awesome thing. If you get the opportunity, you got to do stuff like this. He bought it sight unseen. You got to take the chances. You got to have the fun of it. So enough talk, because it's really cold and we need to get a trailer. So yeah. So it's not quite dawn yet. Another day. We have the trailer hooked up. Everything is nice and happy. Very cold, so we got to get the Escalade running and warmed up a bit before we start heading out. About 2 hours from here. It's not bad at all. A little bit of a nice ride. We'd probably catch the sunrise on the way. That'd be cool. I'll dig that. And I got my coffee. Samantha, my 3-year-old girl, she said, "You bring home pink car and motorcycle for me?" So gotta raise them right, guys. Gotta keep them in the car culture. Well, I got the Green Goblin, guys, and we have about 2.5 hour ride home. And it was cold getting this thing all set up. Big shout out to the guys that were helping out to get it on there. He landed it perfect. It has been sitting at a auction place for the better part of 6 months, so it's actually in pretty good shape for that, all things considered. I would say, based off of the Northeast and everything, she's got a little bit of rust here and there, just a little bit underneath, starting to go there. She's got a little bit right here, so there's going to be a little bit of rust repair needed, and it's got the obligatory rust on a Buick trunk lid. So as you can see, going through there, we'll go through it a lot more once we get it back to the house. I looked at the frame real quick, and it looks like it's got surface rust, but nothing terrible. It looks pretty good. I love I personally, the color combination, I dig it. You know, it's white interior. It's this weird funky 70s green. No cracks in the dash that I can see, so I would definitely say it was garage kept. And like I said, we'll go through it a little bit more when we get home. I think it's time for more coffee, though. It's definitely coffee time. That's pretty cool. Well, guys, it is back to my place, and the next step is to figure out what is going on with it. The only thing I'm aware of is mechanical damage. Now, when you get estate cars like this, or however you're getting them, if it's mechanical damage, it could just be, it sat for 13 years. The carburetor may be all gunked up. I know it's a 2-barrel carburetor. I have a couple of Quadro jets. We can go ahead and find a real good one out of my collection. We get the 4-barrel carb setup, and that hopefully will solve the problem. Or it could be, maybe there's a rod hanging out the bottom of it. Don't know yet. So first step is to get up underneath it, make sure all the lines are good, check the brake lines. We'll see if she starts and turns over, and we'll put a bore scope down inside the fuel tank, see what kind of fuel we have. That could, is there fuel in it? If there's fuel in it, if there's not, that type of thing. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna eat lunch now, and we'll be right back out to see what's going on with it. Well, guys, I haven't even checked to see if that engine even runs yet, but we have a couple snowstorms coming, and I figure this: the weather's going to be really just trash very quickly, and this area will be buried pretty quick too. And I can't bring myself to just let good enough alone. And we have that 350 just has a 2-barrel carburetor, and that's just not cool. Not cool at all. And we pulled some parts off of this Buick over here. This yard's awesome. This is like my go-to. Bob is awesome. He's got all kinds of cool things here. But he's got a few Buicks, a bunch of Mopars, and he just happens to have the Buick we need right there. Well, a couple of them that would work, but we'll pull off this one's closer. And that is a 4-barrel carburetor with the right intake. And it's a 70, so we can get all the non-smog era garbage. So we just gotta do the whole scoot around this cab over, which is dope, around this Corvair, which has seen better days. And Bob's your uncle. Oh, he might be your uncle. He's not my uncle, but someone's uncle. You know, whatever. And chicken. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so we got to pop this, which should have a lever right there. Yeah, swing that open and pull it all out. Remember, get to know your local salvage yards, your old timers, the ones that are, you know, off the books, the ones that are on the books, the ones that maybe be, you know, in the books. I don't know, something along those lines. They'll get expensive right off the bat. Like right off the bat, they are going to be really expensive. But you get to know them, and if they like you, I mean, they'll hook you up at awesome prices. So, like we're talking $25. Just go and get it. I don't care. No, of course that means I have to pull it, but I mean, let's be honest, that's the fun part. Also, I may have noticed another Mopar on my way in that I hadn't noticed before. That's the other cool thing. I've been in this yard like 100 times, and I'm still finding things that I didn't know existed in this yard. Now, like, he's got a lot of Fords, a lot of Mustangs, which not really my thing, but anyways. Now, the hood's probably going to be stubborn on these things. They've been sitting here for a hot minute. Safety first. That way when it comes down, not only do you get hit by the hood, but also a high lift jack. Yeah, anyways, that's what we're here for. Oh yeah, that engine probably would turn right over. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to get out of the way, a lot of stuff we're going to want to save. We're not doing anything to hurt this car. As you can see, she's junk. I've already pulled the electronics out of this at one point, but someone already did some speed rejiggering on this thing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull some things off here, get that crap out of the way, get that out of the way. But I bet you this engine was no good in the first place. So that's why we did this one. There's another one that's probably good, but I mean, it is a 70, so there's a possibility it's an SP, but I doubt they put a performance engine in a 4-door. So who knows? We need that though. So pitter patter, let's get at her. Sorry if I lost you guys. GoPro struggling. It's a bit cold. It's 10 degrees. Sure beats the other day. It was -2. And I mean, God bless D&D Speed Shop. He was doing a video the other day. It was -40. God bless him. Even though it's a beautiful day, sunny, no clouds. Yeah, you know, pull it out, get her done. And I would say I would like to come back and pull this engine eventually. I kind of have it on my bucket list of pulling. These old Buick 350s, even though they're small blocks, not really small, their dimensions are very similar to the big blocks. We can measure them when we get back to the house. We have a 455 going into a 70 Skylark. Hopefully that can get finished fairly soon. Waiting on parts. It seems like just the past couple of years, that's what you have to do. Distributors located in the front, great little engines, and they're pretty peppy. The SP block I have sitting at home produces like 510 foot-pounds of torque or something like that, and it almost produces as much power as the standard 455. Higher compression than normal. This is probably just a standard, although it's possible. It is a 1970. But this is why we're here today. Next step for this thing is I need to drop it off and get it sandblasted and get it ready to be put on Randy's car. I just, with the snowstorm coming, I wanted to make sure I could get it before I couldn't get in here. So now I got to clean up and get home. And get that covered up with something, so at least we give it a chance to not be full of water. All right, guys, so the original carburetor for that 4-barrel is just junk, but we have one that is a known good one that just needs to be cleaned on the outside. Not terrible. If he wants to do a plate down the road to convert it over to something like a Holly, a square bore, then he can definitely do that. We're going to stick with a more OEM feel with this and go with a spread bore. I know a lot of people don't like the Quadro Jets, but they're good. They're really good. The thermal quads and the Quadro Jets just have a bad rep. They're great for street application. If you're going drag racing, sure, that might be a different story, but looks fantastic. That just needs to get cleaned up, and then it's a known good carb, so that should treat him very well. And it's off of a Buick. I have a couple other Quadro Jets that are off of Chevys, so this is correct. Although that one came off of a 455, it's still the same CFM. It's not one of the bigger CFM ones, so that's correct. Even the airflow will be the same, and jetting and the fuel and everything. So anyways, let's go ahead and see some of the other updates before we slide underneath the Buick. So my hope is to be able to drive this thing off of the trailer, but before we do that, we want to make sure and go underneath and look at what is going on, kind of take inventory mentally of the condition of the vehicle. So far we haven't really been able to do anything other than, well, put the carriage before the horse and get the intake manifold all cleaned up and ready to rock and roll, because hey guys, I mean, it deserves a 4-barrel, am I right? So we're gonna slide up underneath this 4-post lift kind of style. Just imagine that's a nice warm concrete floor. That's all, just have to think that, and it mind over matter kind of thing. But yeah, it looks really good on the outside, but let's go ahead and see what it looks like underneath. So some point in the early 70s, a lot of manufacturers started moving the hood release as an option into the inside of the car. Someone had chosen that option for this vehicle, or it came standard. I know my Satellite came with that as an option, and someone checked that mark. This one, we can't pop the hood from outside the vehicle, and door doesn't open all the way, so we're gonna have to find out how we're gonna get inside the car. As it stands right now, we're gonna have to cross that bridge fairly soon, but we'll cross it when we get there. So we're gonna go ahead and slide up underneath here and kind of see what we have going on. Like I've shown when we were down there, the old bias plies, death wagon. The frame so far looks pretty good. I don't see anything terrible. We have a wire hanging out right there. I don't know what's up with that. We'll have to see. It looks like someone tried doing new brake lines or fuel lines. It's hard to tell from here. So we're going to slide under here and find out. Now underneath here, I did hit my microphone cable, so I lost audio. So we're just going to go through this together. And I got to say, I'm really, really excited about what I'm seeing, especially for a Northeastern car. The steering box is nice. There's no rot going through the frame rails. In fact, it's barely even got any surface rust on the front of it. And the radiator core support did have some surface rust, which can be cleaned up with just a wire brush and just a little bit of paint. There is a little bit of concern. As you can see right here, we have, looks like coolant coming down off the harmonic balancer. I'll have to track that up, down once we get the hood open and look inside. There is obviously oil leaking from somewhere, whether it's probably the valve covers. That's just coming down, kind of enveloping the bottom of the engine. It has a dust cover over the transmission belt housing, and that's something that you have a tendency of seeing missing off of these old cars. The cross member looks fine. We have a little ding in the exhaust, but nothing terrible. And this is something that's really exciting for me right here. Something that you do not see in Northeastern cars. Not only do the floor pans exist, they look solid, and they still have some original paint on them. And that is just really, really spectacular. I really think, I'll stand by that Randy has quite the gem here. Normally when you pull cars out of here, you're going to be putting license plates or other things on the floor pan, and we just got away with such a great thing. Look at that, just nice and solid. Not normal from up here. And I was kind of worried when I first saw photos that the paint looked so good on this thing that someone probably doctored it, but we have original paint on the car and solid floor pans. This is a really, really awesome Survivor, and I'm so excited to be able to work on it. There is one concern. It looks like at some point there was some issues with the brake lines, and someone did a little bit of repair work on it. As we can see, everything is there. Our linkages for the transmission are good, but we have a union in the brake line, which I don't feel comfortable with that, especially with how short of a line that is. Why would someone have done that? I don't know if the line was just too short, but we're not going to leave that. That's no bueno. We're going to go ahead and replace that line because we want Randy to have a really safe journey back, and I don't like cob jobs. So that's going to go. Looks like the fuel lines have been replaced, or they're the cleanest fuel lines I've ever seen on a car of this era, and for how long it's been. So I'm really excited about that. I didn't see any damage to the fuel line or cuts. It must have been a straight line from start to back, from front to back. The starter has, the cables don't seem frayed or anything. It's hard to see through here, but they all seem intact. I'm just overjoyed about such a great Survivor coming through my channel. It's kind of like when I picked up the 63 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. Like, even that had some issues with fuel lines, things that we had to sort out, but overall a heck of a great Survivor. You could see what Northeastern rust looks like right there. This is a 2002 Cadillac Escalade. Obviously the spare is long gone, but that's what you would expect to see under Northeastern car. I mean, even cars 10 years old have a tendency of being like pretty rough. But I'm showing you have a little bit of rust on the quarter panel there. The obligatory rust on the Buick trunks. It's pretty standard fanfare for this era Buick. The fuel tank looks really, really good. Someone may have, it looks like original paint, but someone may have cleaned it. We have a little bit more surface rust on the frame back here, but it's just surface. I guarantee you, either sandblast on it or a wire brush, you'd have beautiful steel underneath it. You could recoat it. Something I would recommend, but it's definitely not required. I mean, it's got the standard Buick rear end, nothing crazy. You're not going to be winning any races with this car with a 2-barrel, so they probably weren't too concerned. But you had a couple options of the 10.5. They had they had the 10.5, and they had the 8.5 and the 10.25. So that's something that we could definitely run into as buying Buicks. And right here, the gas is pretty bad, so we're gonna have to put our bore scope down there when we do the will it start, which I have a feeling it will. But something that's been sitting as long as this has, you just never know. Now, I do tap on the fuel tank, and you can't obviously hear it here, but it is completely empty. But again, we don't know what kind of varnish or anything is sitting on the bottom of it. So the fuel tank is nice and solid. I'm hoping when I put the bore scope in there, I don't see giant mounds of rust and debris that can get pulled up. All right, guys, we were able to get the window down with just a little bit of a stick and some cranking action. Good things these things were crank and not electric. We would have been in a little bit of trouble. But like you can see over on the other side there, just when people are going around looking at cars and stuff, they have to be a lot more careful. It's just filthy in there. A lot of that, I would say, is not from the previous owner. A lot of it is just people that are probably looking at it when wherever it was being stored. And I'm curious to see what it looks like inside. So we're going to go ahead and pop in. I did have to change because I got really covered with the white stuff. All right, let's climb in all Dukes of Hazzard style. All right. Not so bad. Okay. That was fun. I'm no spring chicken anymore. I'll tell you what, guys. Another thing I'll tell you is this dashboard looks freaking almost new. No distortions. A lot of times you get the cracks all through here when they're sitting in the sunlight all the time. This was definitely garage capped. This is freaking awesome. Your vinyl's all there. It's not peeling. It's not faded. It's not picking off. There's no rust along the steel on the bottom here. Your ashtray doesn't want to come out. I don't know why that doesn't want to come out. Oh well. It doesn't want to come out. AM and FM. Nice. AC. I got this thing fully loaded. I always love these old Buick dashes. You know, they're very similar to like, not really similar, but I love the way these look, and I love the way that the Plymouths look. Not so much the sweeping ones, but the actual gauges. It has round gauges in it. I love it. You get into the 1971, 72, 73. They're more square, so I like that a lot. That's freaking awesome. We have our hood release here. Let's see if that works. Yep, she works. A rear defogger. Defogger. We have a front windshield defogger too, which that's really neat. I happened to notice that as I was as graceful as a gazelle getting in here. Let's see if this works here. Nice. Again, no peeling on that. That's really, oh, the light even works. Man, this thing is a true survivor of all that is like the definition. Got an old lady pen. See if that still works. Ah, look at that. Sort of works. Maybe. Okay. St. Jude's Travel Club member. I didn't know that was a thing. A AAA member service directory. For service, call the appropriate number listed below. Limited access. Blah, 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 highways, blah, blah, blah. When police state arrive, please destroy all previous directories. This document is correct and effective as November 1st, 1986. Let's see. Does it give you an area that this was for? Oh, this is like a bunch of areas. Okay. That's cool. There you go. You get some reading material as you're heading back down to Oklahoma. Great. So we're not going to try turning it over right now. We want to go through the entire process of how to recommission a car that has been potentially sitting for at minimum 13 years. Although it does look like someone is trying to bring this back to life at one point, or maybe it's just really well maintained. I don't know. We are going to treat this like an unknown. We're going to use borescopes, and we'll see what we got going on here. But moving up, we have a CD holder for an AM FM radio. That makes sense. Or you know what this was for? It was a defense mechanism or a system specifically for the little old lady that was sitting right here. You just put the CDs in the opposite way, so the shiny side out, and you flip it forward, and you can use the power of the Ark of the Covenant and just melt the people's faces off on the oncoming traffic. So pro tip. Now I'm gonna kind of lay down here so we can kind of appreciate this ceiling. For it being sitting for so long, a lot of times, like as far as I've ever seen, you at least get one hole from a mouse that has made a nest. But not only do you not have a hole in this thing, man, there's not even like staining where a mouse got stuck and died. Like you get these barn fine estate cars that have been sitting for decades, all original interior that's not all destroyed. Man, just a decal in this, detail, and you're ready to rock and roll. Maybe all the lights work, I don't know, but everything's there. All the screws. Oh man, this is a freaking survivor. I love it. All right, let's go ahead and we got the keys out of it. Let's go and look at the trunk and see what we got going there. All right, guys, so you have to think Buicks, the Cadillacs, Lincolns, things like that. The mobs were really big fans of these cars because you could fit, you know, stuff in here. Let's see if I have the right key. I don't remember if the round one or square. I think it's round. I think I have the wrong key for this. Yeah, I have the wrong key. Hold on a second. Square, ignition, round, trunk. Where's round? It's in my pocket. Here's round. Cool. All right, let's see what we got here. Well, I don't see engine parts right away. Kind of confirms my suspicions that it is an older lady. I don't know what that is. Is that a mat? Oh yeah, it's a welcome mat. Look at that. Some Christmas welcome mats. I'll let you dig through the rest of that because, well, that's part of the fun part of the whole bit. Hey! You know why the mob loves these things? Because you can fit everything, including a kitchen sink. Oh, Randy's gonna start arts and crafts. I'm gonna leave the rest of this to you. I don't see any parts in here, so I'm assuming whoever was driving this last wasn't doing their own mechanical work, so you can do some archaeology of yourself. But yeah, look at this. So sure, you have a little bit of rust on the outside, but all in all, you just need a new seal, some rust repair around the actual rear here. Not a big deal. This thing is in really good shape. Look at that. Well, guys that have been with the channel for a long time, you know how much I absolutely love these old Buicks. They are fantastic. They're right there. I don't know which one I'd pick as my favorites because they're just freaking epic, but I love the old Mopars, I love the old Supras, and I love the old Buicks. This thing is here and in charge. And I didn't even think I'd like Cadillacs until I bought that 63. Man, that thing rides, Old American muscle cars and classic cars are a world of their own, and if you guys haven't had the opportunity to experience it, I highly recommend it. Now, a lot of you guys on the channel already are big Mopar fans, big Buick fans, or big muscle car fans as it is. Don't only, you know, broaden your horizons. Some other cars out there are fantastic. Don't lock yourself away. There's so many awesome cars out there, and so little time to experience them. Anyways, I gotta say, Randy, you have found an absolute amazing car. I love it. I mean, it's terrible. You should probably leave it here with me. You don't want this thing. This is nope. Nope. Dude, this thing is awesome. What a great find, man. The interior just needs a little bit of TLC, a little bit of loving, a little bit of cleaning. It really doesn't need much more than that. The other than like a carpet. Freaking awesome, man. It is very rare to find a car up here that hasn't been chewed through and destroyed. So not only does it have floor pans, like a Northeastern car from the 60s, 70s, 50s, any of those, even like from the 2000s that has a floor pan, man. Dude, this thing is great stuff. Next episode, we're gonna pop the hood open, see what we have underneath here and what we need to do to get this thing running. We're gonna go through the whole process of starting it. We are gonna do some treated gas in the fuel tank, and we're gonna fill the actual bowl up with gas directly. We're not gonna pour stuff down the cylinder. Or the carburetor. I'm not a big fan of that. It's a good way to, kind of hurt the engine. We want to treat this thing right. We're going to bore scope the cylinders. We're going to bore scope the tank. Make sure there's no foreign debris. We are going to, treat this thing right. We're going to see what it needs, and we'll be able to hear this thing run for the first time in God knows how long, and I absolutely dig it. Randy, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so happy that you bought this old girl, and together we're gonna get this thing back on the road. One more muscle car, one more classic car on the road, and dude, that is epic. And I'm looking forward to your 1,500 mile ride trip bringing this home. So you guys tune in next time. We'll have this thing all ready to rock and roll, and then shortly after that we'll switch the carb to a 4-barrel carb, period correct. We'll have a quadro jet on there. I know some people don't like those or the thermal quads, but I like them. I mean, if you're going to go drag racing, then go crazy and get yourself like a Brawler or a real high-end Holly or whatever. But I tell you guys, don't knock them. They're great. But we'll make this thing period correct. We got that intake manifold all cleaned up. It's going to look epic. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow this build. Follow Randy over at Auto Auction Rebuilds. He's a freaking awesome guy, and he's got great taste. So until next time, remember, keep your shiny side up, and God bless.